If you are a woman married to a man, you're probably doing too much still. You're probably still doing too much. That is what y'all, I'm going to read you a story. And it's funny because this is supposed to be like a feel good, oh wow, love is love, wow, blah. I find this story a little terrifying. Lucky is standing in for Mose today because Mose doesn't give a fork. And he's taking a nap inside. And I swear, women really need to stop worrying about being a cat lady. That doesn't even exist. That's like a happy ending. Stop worrying about being a cat lady and worry more about being a hospice wife. Even if you are literally the one sick and he doesn't leave you, you're still going to end up doing too much. And this is why women need to stop doing too much. This is actually a story of, oh God. Let's just get into it. Before we do, please follow my Patreon if you want to keep up with what I'm doing. Even the free tier, at least you'll get notified about my stuff instead of just hoping the algorithm doesn't make you forget I exist. But I have a live with Cecilia Regina coming up on Wednesday, one of Larry Nassar's, the lawyers that took down Larry Nassar, on September 7th. So much cool stuff going on, so go check it out on Patreon. You can also see cool travel stuff, blah, blah, blah. I have a lot of fun over there. Anyway, came across my feed. And I have so many things I want to talk about, y'all. There's so much happening in the news. I can't even keep up. But if I don't talk about this now, I'll forget about it. And I have never seen a story quite like this, and I really just had to pounce on it. My dying wife found me a girlfriend. Before we get into it, I don't necessarily disagree with all of this. It's complicated. But at the end of the day, she's doing too much. We got to stop doing this. We got to stop doing this. These men are not our sons. They're our partners. Even when you are dying of a terminal illness, you may end up still doing too much because it's in here. Even if he's not making you do too much, it's in here. It's in here. It's socialization, and we got to stop. It's really hard, but we got to do it. So Carolyn was a free spirit. This is written by a dude, by the way. Bill. Spirit. From the moment she sat next to me in a bar in Colorado in 1987, I knew she was special. Men know right away. I actually don't dislike this man. I just want to show you an example of, even in like a story that seems like a couple that really loved each other, cautionary tale about women doing too much. I kind of love this story, but I hate it. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, we married in 1989. And I looked forward to spending my life with this funny, confident woman. Notice that he didn't say beautiful, pretty, la 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 la, like the crap that men say all the time because they're too lazy to think about us as human beings and more just objectify us. She is a free spirit, confident, funny. Okay, green flags. Then 4 years later, I noticed Carolyn walking strangely. A few weeks after that, she couldn't see that the traffic lights had turned green. She's referred to a neurologist and diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. We loved each other deeply, but life was hard. By 2009, my world had shrunk to work and caring for Carolyn. Look, this is this is an example of a man who actually stayed and cared for his wife. Why? Because he was deeply in love with her he was in awe of her from the beginning of meeting her. This was not a shut up ring. If you have a shut up ring, that man will probably cheat on you and definitely let you die alone if you get sick. He ain't taking care of you. So this man, the reason why he stayed and actually took care of her is because he cared a lot about her as a human being. Was in it from the beginning, based on what he's telling us, okay? So this is like 2009. They got married in 89. This is 20 years in. After 20 years, they've been together at this point. Mind you, he noticed that she was she was walking weird 4 years into their marriage. So this is, 16 years of him staying. Caretaking. I mean, he said it's hard. Yeah, I bet. Anyway, so again, loving the story so far. Condition was getting more serious, and I refused to think ahead to when she would be gone. It was just too painful. This right here is a man who loves his wife. I know we say all the time, oh, men don't know how to love women. Men don't even know how to love. I firmly disagree with that. I know men who are deeply love their wives. I am married to a man who deeply shows me what love is and what loving me looks like. I had never experienced that before. And again, when we say men don't know how to love, a lot of women aren't really loving men. We're just taking care of them like they're our sons. The little hobo schedule, when we're a hospice wife, when we're like an enabler and he's an addict, we're an enabler, and he's a narcissist, we're an enabler, and blah, blah, blah. That's not love. That ain't love. You can't love somebody who's exploiting you. You can't love somebody who's kind of keeping you a hostage. So I do believe men are capable of love. I do believe women are capable of love. All humans are capable of love. But it oftentimes, especially under patriarchy and heteronormative relationships, it requires a lot of unpacking of your entitlement, your codependency, or whatever it is that you were socialized to do. Anyway, this man, unlike a lot of men, we talk all the time about men who are just like, literally have a girlfriend at their wife's funeral, they don't, the men who die of a broken heart. I've made several videos of that. They don't die of a broken heart. They die of laziness. They don't want to take care of themselves, and they're like, okay, I'll just tap out. I'm done. I don't want to do all this crap she did for me. Or they remarry instantly, the love of their life. Well, now they got a new one. They just move on so quickly. And most women, when they lose their husbands, they don't remarry, especially if they're older, because they're like, I've heard this from the mouths of a lot of older women I know. I'm not burying another husband. And by that, maybe it means I'm not grieving another husband, because there's definitely grief. But the thing that's not said out loud is I'm not caretaking another man into his grave. I'm not going to go through another cancer diagnosis or whatever it is because this man won't take care of himself or whatever. And also, like I've said before, men usually make terrible patients if they have that entitlement still. Not saying women can't make terrible patients too, but I know that whenever I'm sick, Anthony takes really good care of me, and it's really hard for me to let him take care of me, because I'm like, why are you doing this? And he's like, because I love you. And I was like, oh, right. I'm just so not used to it. I am now, but in the beginning I was like, I felt like I owed him something. It's like, nope. It takes a lot of unlearning, especially if you grew up in a family system where everything was about keeping dibs and transactional and all that stuff, the way a lot of men are taught to think of love or relationships with women especially. Anyway, this man then looking for a wife, he can't even imagine having another partner, so he is not in that mindset at all. So when one day in 2011, Carolyn said, Mill, I'm going to find you somebody, I went into denial. That's fine, I quipped. You don't have to worry about it for a really long time. She said it a few times again over the years, but I would change the subject. So this man is not even comfortable with the idea of another woman even coming into his world. He's doesn't want this. And she's like, I'm going to find you somebody. Now, if this was a man who hadn't been taking care of her and dealing with a chronic illness for 16 years or whatever prior to this, I would be like, oh, she's worried that he won't be able to take care of himself. But I don't think that's the case here. Clearly, the man can take care of himself and her. I'm guessing, unless she's doing all the labor while having this illness. I'm kind of feeling like this is her conditioning under patriarchy right here. Oh no, what will he do? Honestly, I think this is really selfish. She's pushing this, and he's like, no, I don't want to. I want to think about it, really trying to, I learned when my dad had Alzheimer's, there's something called anticipatory grief. And I grieved my dad's death for a while before he actually died. Because when you know that it is a fatal illness and that the day is going to come, you really start preparing yourself for it. You grieve before the death actually happened. And this man is in that, and she's like, I'm going to find you somebody. I hate that whatever, let's just keep moving on. Then in the early 2019, we were in her doctor's office. Carolyn wanted to stop treatment, and I sat numbly listening to her explain her decision. While we're talking about this, she said, I want Mill to find someone to be with when I'm gone. She paused, and I'm going to be the one to pick her. Okay, this right there, this screams codependency right here. Why are you picking? What? There were kids involved? I guess, because they haven't mentioned children. This seemed very codependent. And part of codependency is controlling people. I tried to delay. Again, he doesn't want this. Saying that I'd find someone later, but Carolyn was firm. She was going to lead this search, and it was going to happen right away. Carolyn, may you rest in peace. What are you doing? Okay, I can't imagine what this is like knowing you're dying. And I know maybe it gives you a sense of peace that to know who he'll be with and everything, but like this seems like really unfair to him. This seems like really selfish. And it sounds like he's just going along with it to make her feel better and give her peace. I don't know what it's like to live with this. I am really trying to understand what's driving this. Like, I get it, but I obviously will never get it because I've never been in this situation. But this doesn't seem healthy. The doctor hadn't given her long to live. There was no time to lose. Again, I can't imagine being in this situation, but I can't imagine forcing Anthony to meet someone and find someone and let me find them and approve of them before I die. I don't understand where that's coming from. The only thing I can think that it's coming from is her thinking this man cannot take care of himself and that he'll be looked after. But the way she's doing it is like, it seems really inconsiderate of his grief and his love for her. Anyway, I would love, let me know what y'all think, please. I'm really baffled by this story, honestly. That was how I found myself creating an online dating profile, typing in a description of myself as kind and caring. Words Carolyn dictated from her bed. I love her, and this is what she wants, I thought, as I uploaded a picture of myself that Carolyn had chosen. God, don't ever make someone date who doesn't want to date. He wants to enjoy his time with you. Why are you doing this? Carolyn didn't think I should mention our situation in the profile. Okay, Carolyn, okay, now I did not catch this. I sped through this. Oh my God, Carolyn. No, that is so not cool. Oh, don't mention you have a dying wife and that whoever is going to meet him is going to have to deal with a grieving man with 20-something year marriage who also doesn't even want to be dating. Carolyn, okay, this is, but I don't mean to speak ill of the dead, but I just want to use this as an example. This was a story, I'll show you some of the comments afterwards, that everyone's like, oh my God, this is what true love, no. Carolyn, you, like, whatever you're doing here was not very loving and kind or thoughtful of him or whoever he's going to date. This to me gave you a sense of control and peace while you're dying, and I get it. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand what that feeling is like, but oh my God. Lying about the situation in addition to forcing his hand to do this? You can explain when you speak. I mean, yeah, I get it, but that's like someone lying about their height or lying about some other stuff. Like, yeah, you're gonna like weed out a lot of people. But still, we give men so much crap when they lie about things. Their height, they use photos from 10 years ago or that stuff, you know. It feels manipulative. So I get why you don't want to like lead with that fact, but at the same time, like, it's not fair. To me, that's almost as bad as men on the apps who are like planning on leaving their wife and they don't mention that they're still married. You know, it's still dishonest and misleading, because I saw, if someone was like, my wife is dying and she wants me to find somebody, I would immediately swipe left. I don't want to be a part of that. I want this man to grieve before he goes on the dating app. So many people, men, women, across gender, should not be dating. That's how so much harm is caused. I was dating when I should not be dating. That's how I ended up with that homosexual. I've dated people who should not have been dating. They weren't stable, they were like unemployed, just gotten out of a relationship, or just something where they are not dateable. A lot of us are not dateable, and we're out there on the apps to avoid dealing with grief, trauma, something. We're just bored. we're unhappy in our life and we want someone to make us happy, when really we shouldn't be dating unless we at least have our foundation pretty solid, because that's how we end up in abusive relationships, or that's how we end up causing a lot of harm to someone else when we get into a relationship. This story's driving me crazy. I started talking to people, but whenever I explained my situation, I never heard from them again. I felt relief. Again, this all throughout this, he doesn't want to be doing this, but to my surprise, also disappointed. Yeah, okay. Totally normal to have two conflicting things at once. I realized it would be nice to have another person in my life, but I didn't want to feel that way. It was upsetting and confusing. Exactly. Carolyn, why did you put this man in this position where he feels guilty doing this thing that you're literally making him do? I am telling you, this man is it is going to take him so much longer to process his grief because all of this is in the way. I'm telling, y'all know, how many of y'all have dated somebody right after they got out of a relationship, and then they worked all of their issues out on you instead of with a therapist or their journal or just through their own healing? All that stuff they took right into their relationship and they never processed it. Processing this stuff is so essential. We can't move on until we've processed it. And when you're out here on the apps, and apps are very, oh, look who decided to join us. Finally, the apps are exhausting. They're addicting because it's like dopamine. They are so time consuming. They're exciting, but they're stressful. And you can't grieve. She has very little time to live, and he's on the apps doing all this stuff. It is anybody who's been on the apps, you know, this stuff is like a full-time unpaid job. It is so hard to not end up spending so many hours on the apps just keeping up with all these conversations and stuff. Then in late 2019, I started messaging Jan. She shared my love for adventure and the outdoors and had a great sense of humor. I was nervous on our first call, sure that she'd run once she heard what was going on. I have something to explain, I said. I'm married and my wife has MS. She has stopped treatment and wants me to find someone. It's what I want too. Did you though? Did you? Suddenly, Karen asked me for the phone, and next thing I knew, they were chatting. Oh my God, Carolyn, what? It's kind of beautiful, but also what? The next week, I was heading to the first date I'd had in decades. Jan was kind and funny. We just clicked. At home, I tried to answer Carolyn's questions honestly. It was hard to tell her Jan and I had kissed, but Carolyn seemed thrilled. So she said, when can I meet her? Now, see, I don't want it to borderline like me being against polyamory. I know people who are polyamorous. The difference is the people who are polyamorous and it really works for them, like Therese, we talked about this on our live. It is because there's open communication. The partner, like if it's a man with several women, they're all friends and they talk and there's no secrecy, there's no betrayal. There's very, all of the polyamorous people that I know who are healthy and not men who are just don't want to grow up and don't want to be honest and want to trick women into being polyamorous even though women didn't even want it. But the couples I know where they both truly wanted it, it can be a beautiful thing. It is very hard to find a man who can navigate this without being super selfish and dishonest. But some of them have. And Therese has talked about this in our live, which we're still currently editing. We talked about this exactly. So I don't disagree with this part of it. I really don't. Ethical, non-monogamy, polyamory, all that, when it is done honestly and in good faith and it's healthy, direct communication and none of this other crap, it can be really great. I've seen it work, not just, in the LGBTQ plus community, but even among just totally cishet couples. Rarely it happens, but it can. So I'm not against this and them becoming friends and chatting and whatever. it's the like pushing this man to do this before he was ready. Maybe she knew maybe he's shy. Maybe she's afraid he'd never put himself out there. Maybe she didn't trust his judgment, and because the dating world has changed so much since she may have had some very valid reasons for this that I don't necessarily not agree with, but there's something about this story that really doesn't sit right with me and seems really not healthy and feels codependent. What are you up to? He's out there barking, being bad boy. Waiting at home for Jan to arrive 2 weeks later, I was a bundle of nerves. Then Jan and Carolyn met, and I was amazed to see an instant connection. At dinner, there was laughter and lightness. It felt like family. Okay, I love this. I love that this happened. I just don't like how it happened. I don't like the how. Despite my worries, it wasn't strange at all. And 3 months later, Jan moved in. Oh, God, I forgot about this part. Carolyn, did you make this? Did you push for this? What? Wait a second. Carolyn, did you make this woman a hospice by proxy wife? What is happening? Why is she moving in 3 months? While I was falling in love with her, she and Carolyn were becoming best friends. Okay, see, I love that. But where are Carolyn's other friends? Where are your friends, Carolyn? Why did you need to meet one on a dating app to hook your husband up with? I am so confused by this story. It's supposed to be the most loving story, and I find this so bizarre. And maybe if this was a poly couple, it'd be different, because I was like, oh yeah, this is all normal for them. They've navigated this before. But this is this man is dealing with his love of his life dying. And she's like, let me meet her, move her in, let's be friends. Again, if there was children involved, I would understand a lot more. But as my love grew for Jan, so did my guilt. See, Carolyn? It felt like infidelity, even though I knew it was what Carolyn wanted. I find this really disturbing, y'all. It was like she almost forced him into polyamory while he's trying to grieve. This doesn't seem right. I'm sorry, I don't agree with this. If she had any jealousy, she kept it from me. Still, I struggled. Yeah, this does not sound like fun. Knowing she didn't have long to live, Carolyn wanted a celebration of life. In September 2020, oh great, right in the heart of the pandemic, before vaccines, right? Wait, what year was that? I'm not saying the pandemic is over, by the way. No, this is before vaccines. Absolutely. This is 2020. Okay. Sorry. Brain fart. Family and friends came for a barbecue. 2 weeks later, I was by Carolyn's side when she died. In my grief, oh my God, the neighbor is driving me crazy. This man never stops working on his yard. I swear, men are just so inconsiderate all the time. He's doing this all the time. The neighbors are so frustrated with this man. He can never stop using power tools. Anyway, in my grief, I was so thankful to her. In her courage and selflessness, she ensured I didn't go through this alone. And that right there, this word right here, selflessness. This was not selfless. I'm sorry. It was not selfless. And this is what I want to talk about. Let me get through the rest of this last paragraph, because a lot of codependent people, we love to think that we're selfless and we just give and give and give and give. A lot of times the things it doesn't mean that we don't love people, but a lot of times our selflessness is actually rooted in something, trying to control someone, trying to feel a sense of security. It's something about us. This was not just, I just love you so much, I want you. She would not have, if this was totally selfless, she would have paid attention to how much he was struggling with this whole arrangement. And it seems like it ended up okay. But this selflessness, women need to stop this. Stop being selfless, because a lot of times our selflessness is self-abandonment. It is doing too much. It is taking care of men like we're their mothers instead of partners, and them being able to make decisions for themselves. This right here, this word right here, y'all. Part of my codependency was realizing that even when I thought I was doing things for him, it was not for him. It was because I felt because I was martyring myself, because I felt needed, because I felt better than him, because of there's a bunch of reasons that I was being this, but it wasn't selflessness. That's what it looked like, But that's not what it was. Jan and I married in August 20. Oh, great. Great. Moves in 3 months. Wife dies in, September 2020. Less than 2 years later, you're married. Have you grieved her yet? Married in 2020, and Carolyn was a huge part of our day. We turned her wedding dress into outfits for our flower girls. Like, this is kind of pretty, but it's also still weird to me. My nephew was the celebrant and talked about Carolyn in the ceremony. She knew you wouldn't be able to find a... Okay, look at this. She knew you wouldn't be able to find a woman, he joked. So she had to pick one for ya. That right there, he said the quiet part out loud. Can we stop doing this? Can we stop assuming that men can't do fill in the blank, can't load a dishwasher, can't take care of children, can't find another woman? Like, maybe he would have struggled, but during that struggle of finding a partner, he may have actually made male friends, built his community, sat with his grief, dealt with that loneliness, gone to a therapist, gone to grief counseling. But instead, because Carolyn thought it was her job to find him a woman, and she wanted to pick out that woman like a mother. But even if a mother did that, that's weird. This is weird. This is like toxic boy mom energy meets husbands. Like, but with your, oh God, do I need to say any more? Do y'all get what I'm saying? It was her running the show because she assumes he can't. He is not an adult. If the dude was caretaking for you for 16 years, but you don't think he can figure out a dating app, either this man is like really a bad caretaker and bad partner, and you've just been putting up with him, or you're doing what you've been taught to do, which is do too much, take over, control situation whenever you feel like you... I know this is really complicated. I'm probably missing something here. But this does not sit well with me. I have a wonderful wife, and it's all thanks to Carolyn. She showed me what true love is. That is not the lesson I'm taking from this. That's the lesson a lot of people are. Let's look at the comments. This is probably one of the only comments I agreed with. A charming story. However, it seems to me that the healthy thing to do after the end of a long relationship is to have some time alone, time to grieve that relationship, whether it ended through death or any other reason, and also to figure out what you want your future to look like. So many people, men especially, seem to just move straight on into new relationships seamlessly, as though being part of a couple is the only thing they would contemplate. Being alone for a time is a healthy thing. And here's the thing. This man would have done all those things had Carolyn not forced his hand, pressured him. So when I say that patriarchy would not exist without our cooperation, this is what I'm talking about. We infantilize men. We mother them. We take over. We do too much. We do too much. And then we're like, why won't they do anything? Well, I know we did not choose to be in this situation. I know that they still have all the power and control the resources and all that stuff. But we can't change them, but we can change ourselves. And when we stop doing this behavior, the dance will look different. The same dynamic cannot exist forever if one person stops doing the enabling. You know, look at this man. I like this person. He's like, this is a heartwarming story of love, compassion, and kindness. My wife of 39 years died from MND. I don't know what that is. In January, the pain is still raw and constant. And at the moment, I can't see myself ever having another partner. But maybe as my grief changes, this may become possible, or perhaps I will gradually become content being single. It's hard to describe the loneliness I feel now, notwithstanding fantastic support from my children, family, and friends. In any case, I was hugely moved by this story and wish Mill and Carolyn to find... Okay, Carolyn's dead. You got the name wrong, but it's Jan, Mill and Jan. But this right here, this man, he's relying on community, friends, his family. And he's not sure if he wants to be with someone else or is open to that. That seems healthy, not whatever this story is. Like all of this, oh my God, I'm tearing up, I'm crying. All these people were like, I'm crying. What a staggeringly courageous and selfless woman Carolyn was. Repair your loved one so completely for you leaving. Wow. No, no, no. The word selfless comes up so much in these comments. It's like, codependent women we love to be called selfless. Don't think there's not another motive there too. Look at this. This is a lot to stomach. Carolyn really cared for Mill, and she was way ahead of our time. Even though I got mixed feelings with the story, Carolyn could really take a mature and complex decision. She's not ahead of her time. Again, if they were poly, or if he was more consenting in this situation, more enthusiastic about this, maybe. But hard disagree. See, I want y'all to listen, okay? Because there are men who, a lot of women think this story is great, but there's several men who are like, I'm glad it turned out okay for him, but personally, I would not be happy of going through online dating while my wife is in agony. Exactly. And besides having the pressure of kind of making her last wish true. Exactly. Again, very happy it turned out for the protagonist. Thank you, Pablo VB. Thank you. She put so much pressure on him to make her dying wish come true, but she wasn't even considering whether or not this was actually good for him, what he wanted, what he needed. And again, I can't imagine dying of something. It's going to happen one day, but maybe it'll happen fast and I don't know what it's like to be in her position, but I do know that please do not see this as like, oh my God, selfish, unconditional love. What she did, and this is what when codependent people, when we enable men, when we treat them like children, we rob them of the opportunity to grow up, to be adults, to be responsible. And I know that, and this does not mean that men do not put us in this situation, but that's not what this story is about. That's not what this story is about. Because, and I will speak personally here, there are plenty of times that my codependency comes out unprovoked. I still catch myself like trying to do too much. And I'm like, wait, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Anthony doesn't want me to do this. He didn't ask me to do this. He doesn't expect me to do this. Where is this coming from? And then I'm like, oh, it's the patriarchal conditioning. Right? I'm just saying, y'all know I make tons of videos about weaponized incompetence and the way that men exploit our labor, But I just want to give an example of what we are doing sometimes. This is not just, men need to change. We have to do the work of stopping this. Because some of us are like, I think we're all on the codependency spectrum on some level, because you have to be a little codependent as a woman in patriarchy, because, you had to, be like fun and be, and do all this stuff, right? Those of us who grew up in a family system with an addiction and narcissist abuse, any of that stuff, we tend to be farther on this side of the codependent. And this takes a lot of work to not do this. You can be with the healthiest man in the world and you will still want to do this. I speak from experience here. If you're with the wrong man, he will exploit that and be like so selfish and ruin your life. But even if you're with a healthy partner, don't think that this in here is just going to go away. It's going to come up and go, boo. And you're like, dang it. We all have work to do on ourselves. We all do. And this is part of growing and living. I'm never going to be healed. This is an ongoing journey. I found this incredibly moving. What an extraordinary woman Carolyn was. I was filled with a combination of sadness and happiness. Beth was, again, like, Carolyn just looks so selfish. What a great woman. Yeah? But also, I don't think she should have done this. See, look at this. This is what we don't want. This is what we don't want to be called selfless, and we don't want to do this. Unconditional love. Don't do this. And that's also not unconditional love. There were conditions. Go find a wife. Anyway. The power of that is astounding. What a beautiful, moving story. I'm quite tearful now. I mean, there's so many people who are like, I'm crying. The outcome was everything all parties involved wanted. Really? Doesn't sound like he wanted it until it ended up okay for him. But still, I bet he still has a lot of grief he hasn't dealt with yet. Because how do you, when you're building a whole new relationship and a whole new marriage, living with a stranger you met on the internet and you knew for 3 months, like, what? I have received the same from my first husband. He died in 2017 while encouraging my friendship, budding relationships with a lifelong friend. This article brings back so many dear memories. Okay, but it's never the same. You can never, and this is why people are like, what about when men do it? It is never, you can never take something that women do and something that men do and flip it and be like, but what about men do this all the time? What if a man said this? Or what if a woman said that? There's always a power dynamic that is going to change things a little bit. So this is great. Her husband was like, hey, like, I like this story, but it's not the same. It's not the same. It's different. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm curious what y'all think. I'm really struggling with this one because it's both beautiful and very frustrating to me. It totally ties into all of the things that I don't think are good, but also elements that I do think are good. Anyway, please let me know. I'm struggling with this one. Let me know what you think. Oh, Moses awake barking. Anyway, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, blah, blah, blah. Enjoy my Patreon, especially if you want to go to those lives, but even if you want to keep up with what I'm doing. And let me know if you heard the comment song. This is the comment song. The time for you to write your comment if you haven't already written one. Maybe it's a story, or maybe it's a joke, or maybe it's some advice for everyone. This is the comment song. These are photos I took on my walk. This is the comment song. Maybe you have something to say. This is a terrible song and it doesn't make any sense, but I'm trying to entertain you while you write. But maybe I should just shut up so you can write. Hey, this is the comment song. I took this photo on my walk also. Look at him. This is him mid-yawn. But that's all there is to say about that. Oh, the comment song is ending soon, so I hope you had something to say. Hey. It's ending. 3, 2, 1. Wrap it up. Wrap it up. Wrap it up. Wrap it up. Sorry for that ending. Anyway, bye. Let me know if you heard this.